ancestral home of slaughtered at the Abattoir, which is the Abattoir. And in the spirit of honesty and openness that pervades the Fringe as we know it, I think I should start off by saying that this particular podcast has ended up being something of a clusterfuck. Okay, so plan A was I had been persuaded against my better judgment to have a guest on who was going to talk about becoming Muslim. Now, because we had her, I thought, shit, we better balance that out. I know we'll get the uber-Catholic Luca Cupani.
Thank you.
To come, to come and talk about being Catholic, and then I thought, shit, no, actually I didn't. I thought that would be fun. But then I went to see a show that just blew my tiny mind. And in the middle of it, I thought, fuck, he'd be an excellent guest for the podcast because he can take the all religion is a pile of fucking shit line. And that is, who knew Alun Cochrane?
Oh. Well,
And we've just been joined by the tall, lanky figure. He's doing manly handshakes. That's your pint of beer.
Alan, you're right.
That's your pint of beer. So that was the plan. And then I've just become a Muslim person said, oh no, it's late night and it's in a bar. I'm a Muslim, I can't do that. I really, really should have thought that one through better, but I didn't. So then I thought, shit, we've still got uber-Catholic Luca. He's going to look a bit bare if there's nobody to chat about religion to. Now, then I thought, okay, we can make this work. He can talk to Alan. And then, anyway, then I was asked to help a couple of people who are struggling with numbers and someone whose own fucking flyers can't remember his name.
I don't desperately need this help, ma'am. I don't need this to be weird. I didn't come here to be berated, so
I'm not berating.
Let's run that back, because that's a little fucking weird to start off with.
And then I had a massive confession to make. And part of that confession was partly prompted by something that a comic said to me, that comic being Darius Davies. Hello. Who is a bit posh.
Hello, how's everyone doing? This is my real voice, Kate.
Is it? No, that is not your real voice.
No, this is my real voice.
Yeah, that is your real voice. So, as I say, bit of a clusterfuck. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. Number one, if I can just ask a question. Alun Cochrane, what has happened to you this year?
I don't think anything massive has happened to me. I cover in the show that I've done quite a lot of observational stand-up over the years, and it's becoming a bit more contrarian and slightly more scratchy and argumentative. I don't think there's been a huge
slightly
change.
more scratchy an argument, honestly.
I think
Because Darius is one of a group of impressive comics who kind of they've got edgy on t-shirts.
Have you?
And,
I haven't got any merchandise yet.
And honestly, I have to tell you, Darius, you have to go and see his show. It makes you and Leo and all the other contrarians look like lightweights.
What time's the show?
I think it's unlikely that's true.
This
9:20.
I'll come.
This
Please do,
is
yeah.
hard-hitting, proper, grown-up, what the fuck are we all doing
It is grown up.
stuff.
It is grown up, I'll give you that. Not everybody that comes is, but the stuff that's being offered is, yeah.
But I mean, you're basically taking your entire career in your hands.
Am I?
And
Oh well.
because I mean, surely
It's good while it lasted.
a lot of people who come to see you will be wanting I've always really liked the name, the word maroon. And there's none of that.
No, there's very little of that. I mean, I still think it's, for want of a better phrase, it feels like the stuff I'm doing this year is still within my wheelhouse. There's always been a bit of me that doesn't go with the herd. I think just there's more of that this year than there is of Have You Ever Noticed? I think it's still the same guy making jokes, but just maybe we're at a peak moment in the industry where I think we're all being opted in to thinking in the same way. And that doesn't feel to me very much like being at the biggest arts festival in the world. I feel like it's it's perhaps I think the whole ship is turning slightly, and it's slow, but I think there's a lot of people going, you know what, I don't really like being constrained in my thought or my opinions by my colleagues or certain, decision makers. And I think gradually more and more people will speak up. I think it's probably just that there's a handful of people that are the ones that are most prepared to disagree, and then eventually everyone will do it. But probably in 5 years' time, everybody will be being contrarian, and it'll be like when everybody on the comedy circuit had a routine about those sliding train doors that open while somebody's having a poo. So I certainly don't think I've invented contrarian stand-up, and I'm certainly not the first comic to do jokes about how he doesn't have a faith. So,
but you are one of the last comics that you would imagine.
Oh, is that right?
To do that, yes.
Well, I don't really know what other people are imagining about me, so that's the other thing that is difficult for me to predict, because I'm with me all day, so I know that I'm a difficult bugger all the time, and so then to start doing jokes about that side of me, and actually, it's always been present. I remember doing a TV thing when everybody on the news was being doom and gloom about the recession and their property values, and I remember doing stuff about how I was just going to live in my house rather than look at the value, which in a way was a sort of a contrary point at the time. So it's always been there, it's just been more disguised with charm over the years until now. Now it's just outright and horrible.
And observations about the word maroon.
Yeah, those were the days.
But
those were the
now
days.
it's risky to be contrarian, because you can be arrested, you can be...
Yeah.
The very least of it is you'll be deplatformed or de-something.
Yeah, well, I do occasionally wonder what I'm up to, because it does feel like I'm committing career suicide before I'm mortgage free. I thought I would probably at least be comfortable before I started being quite such a dickhead, but it is what it is. Perhaps it is career suicide, but I like to think that there's room within the stand-up comedy circuit for people that don't just naturally toe the line, because if there isn't, what have we all been watching all these years? Because loads of the stand-up...
Oh, there's a line. Oh. There's a line.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen your show, but I think there's like Leo and I, we were watching Alan Partridge last night, right?
Right.
And we just watched one episode. It wouldn't get made today. It just wouldn't get made today. And the fact is, I think because the industry is looking for such young talent, they're coming up. And they're indoctrinated in this way of thinking. For them, it's normal to be quote-unquote woke and don't say this thing. But you've been gigging for however many years. You know what you can say, and what you're saying. The audience is the judge, not your peers.
Yeah.
If they're laughing, that's what counts. So I think. I haven't seen his show. It's great, and I probably wouldn't find his show contrarian. I've only ever seen 2 offensive comedians in my life. One was Jerry Sadowitz, who I went in there knowing what I was going to expect.
Yeah.
It was still offensive, it was amazing. And the only genuine comedian I've ever seen who was really offensive was one guy at some open mic gig, and it was just so awful, like no jokes, no funny, and he basically had to get smuggled out of the room because the audience hated it. And they told, but he knew there and then what the mistake was. The worst thing is comedians censoring other comedians.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't talk about this, and it's like, and most of the comedians that censor other comedians aren't that funny. That's what I think anyway. That's my opinion.
Just talking of that, I would love to bring Sophie Hagen to watch Alan's show.
I think it's unlikely she'll come, but you know, by all means,
there's
try.
a whole section about self-inflicted disability and the clinically obese, which is, in my humble opinion, absolutely true and spot on. But Sophie is of the opinion that that's all fat shaming and you should have your eyes poked out with a pen and be burned at the stake.
Well, I wouldn't want to put words into her mouth, but you seem
No,
comfortable
that's all right.
with
I'm
it.
fine. I'm very comfortable with that. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I think I'm paraphrasing pretty well.
I mean, I've never had a conversation with her about it, but I suppose one of the problems I have with all of this stuff is that if you say anything that is about it that isn't just sort of empathetic noises, if it's anything other than that, it sounds like you're callous, but that doesn't necessarily hold true. I think you can actually say those things and still love some really big people. I don't think it's a double standard at all.
It's like one of the... I am not religious. I'm very close to anti-religious because of the damage it does. One of the few properly, genuinely religious people I know is Luca. I mean, he's like the real deal. And a lot of Alan's stuff is anti-religious. It's fucking hilarious.
It's not anti-religion. I hate to be pedantic, but I discuss in the show that one of my values is freedom of religious practice. So, but up to the point at which it hurts other people or stifles other people's freedom of expression. So
but the bit about Holy Communion and transubstantiation. How upset do you get, Luca, when people have a go at Christianity?
I don't really get upset because I'm Catholic, so I know the history of my church. We improved because the last time we burned someone alive, it was maybe 400 years ago. So it's good to see some
onwards and upwards.
Real progress.
We're getting better, and we also recognize the Earth is not exactly in the center of the universe. It took us a while. Now we have satellite. We admit when it's not true. So I don't get upset because I know it could sound crazy what I believe in, and I cannot expect people to follow me. I accept this. I get more upset when I see people from my own church, breaking the news for committing some crimes. That's more upsetting. But and even in that case, we are not the only one. Thanks.
Yeah.
There are many monsters.
But you are pretty much the religious leader in paedophilia.
The Catholic Church, not you personally.
We are the best in covering up.
No, Luca, obviously.
No, we are the best.
He's a happily engaged man.
We are very good at covering up because in my show I mentioned Cardinal Pell, and I'm not so proud to say it is an Australian cardinal who got sentenced to 7 years for paedophilia. He abused a child, an altar boy. And I'm surprised that almost no one know him. So it happened a few months ago, and you see how Vatican is good at covering stuff.
Cover up.
But I'm not. I'm not upset. I mean, maybe if I can say one thing, the good thing of being religious, when you study your own religion and your church and all the crimes that people that shared your faith committed, you learn to have a bit of perspective, so you put some context and you don't get fanatic in the best cases. Some people get fanatic, but so I'm very happy to share opinion with someone who don't believe that.
But what you have to do when you're involved in one of the older religions is you have to balance in your mind all the in these days the crazy things about your religion, because it'll have gathered the stone will have rolled a lot of moss and all that time. So in your lifetime, and I have all my papers the same as yourself, but in your lifetime, in my lifetime, you must have consumed 2 or 3 whole Jesuses into mass.
And there's still plenty of Jesus for everyone if they just want it. Isn't it amazing?
Is it the bread and the fishes?
Because that's
the never-ending Jesus.
This is the cleverest miracle we have. So the church says the bread of Jesus looks like bread, tastes like bread, but it's the body of Jesus.
Oh, it doesn't taste like bread.
Well, tastes like
It's nice to the
tastes
roof of your mouth.
like wafer. Yeah, but I had a lot of Jesus in my body, and
You've had a lot of Jesus in your mouth.
Yeah.
I did. But I wasn't allowed to have when I was a little kid. I
But
had
you weren't
wait
allowed
for
to
it.
enjoy it.
Yeah, but you
That's
know,
where the line is.
That's what it is. Are you religious, Darius?
I'm Catholic. My mum's very Catholic. I was an altar boy. I don't really care what anyone believes in. Like, the way it is to me is, I'm Catholic, that's my faith. If Alan doesn't believe or wants to make fun, that's fine. I'm not going to go out and convert anyone. I don't give a shit what you believe in. Do what you want. And I think if people are like that, no one cares. Nick Dixon's got a really funny bit though. He says, the most controversial thing you can be as a comedian right now is to come out as like a Christian, and he does a really funny bit about it, and it's great. Check out his bit. So I just think with religion, it's like, I get why some Catholics and Christians are angry, because everyone kicks down on Christians, and they would never say that about Muslims. They wouldn't even dare say it, but that would be the line. Mostly. But like I said, I don't really. Someone's an atheist and they want to make fun, that's fine. It doesn't make any difference. It's not my job to convert them. I'm not a priest.
I'd say you can come out as a Christian, but you cannot come out as a Tory.
Well, Leo.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it? So, we've been joined. Introduce
Yes.
yourself.
Taigé Loren. I've got a rock and roll show, so I'm the one woman amongst male comedians that's making theater at the table.
So you're already the devil's child.
Yeah, rock and roll baby.
Do you have a religious belief?
My name is Langston. You didn't introduce me in the beginning because you were too busy telling people I don't have fans.
Sorry.
But no, I believe in a Christian God, kind of, but I don't know.
The religious thing, there's a lot of hard. I think we're developing more and more no-go areas, or difficult to go, or shouldn't go areas in comedy, which is one of the things that Darius and Leo and other comics like that are fighting against. Langston, your show, which I do know about, it's a theatre show or it's a comedy show? It's a theatre show.
It's a comedy show.
Oh, it's a comedy show, but it's got an evolved backstory.
Yeah, I lived with a sex offender for a year, and it sort of centers around that, and it sort of centers around me getting married in October. So it's a combination of just identifying ways in which I as a person need to grow up or have had been forced to grow up through these weird sort of encounters.
So living with a sex offender was in some ways a positive thing.
I don't know that I would put it that way, but sure.
And how are people? I have a very good friend who's doing a show, or trying to do a show, about suicide, and she's having a nightmare every time. She says the word, and people walk out. How's it going with my flatmate's a sex offender?
Nobody seems to be bothered by it. It's working out.
Okay.
Yeah. I think people are laughing. It's a good time. Yeah.
Have you got jokes at the start that almost warn them that there's going to be some content coming up that might be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm clear about what it is.
All right.
I don't personally feel like I ever need to be apologizing for things.
I'm
I
not
find
suggesting
funny.
you do.
I think our job is to find levity.
Yeah.
That's the art. So
Yeah.
as long as you're, navigating and doing your moves, you'll find the levity in it.
Uh-huh.
It's fun in everything. You
Yeah.
just got to find the angle of it, and that's what our
Yeah,
dance is.
the reason I ask is that I personally don't really agree with trigger warnings, but I wondered if you were the sort of person that have trigger warnings in your show, or if it's going well because you've got good jokes about something, and people don't get triggered if you've got good jokes.
I believe in foreplay. I believe
Perfect.
in making someone feel comfortable enough that we can have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
And so I think that a trigger warning implies that I am about to literally shoot a gun, which means that there's a giant explosion following nothing. Whereas I think if you're gonna fist somebody, you start with a few fingers and then you work your way up to the whole hand. You don't just.
That's quite possibly the best explanation I've ever heard.
Yeah, I feel like my metaphor of the spoonful of sugar helping the medicine go down just isn't quite as... it's not cutting it for me anymore.
But it is what we need are not trigger warnings, but comedy foreplay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have to give a trigger warning at Hate and Live. We have
What?
because we do Hate and Live, right? Where the audience write down suggestions the comedians hate or whatever it is.
Right.
So we used to just give it as a joke, right? And one time we had a great show and we got a review from the National Student, even after I gave this trigger warning, and they called it like dirty, dangerous, reckless. It was the best quote ever, right?
Sounds brilliant.
Yeah, it was dirty, dangerous, reckless, and depraved, 1 star. But what the topic was, tell us why no doesn't mean no, right? And the comedian came out and he did it so great. It was really funny. He said, well, no doesn't mean no. It's like, you don't take the first no. I mean, there's a final no that you have to take, otherwise no one would get laid. But he did it really funny, and the audience were cracking up, right? It was a great bit, Roman and amazing. The next day we got that, so now I have to give trigger warnings at the start of every show and say, this is a trigger warning, I am warning you, we don't know what's in there, something will probably offend you.
Yeah.
It is mental. It's like, because they're going to a show called Hate and Live, or generally speaking, they're going to a show that is described in the brochure. Like does your brochure entry give an idea of what the show's around?
It tells people that I'm going to be talking about a sex offender.
Yeah, cool.
It doesn't say what under what circumstances.
You go, oh wow, comedy, and his flatmate was about, that sounds interesting, I would go. It's like getting on a roller coaster and you go, this is a roller coaster, but then complaining because every single dip doesn't have, oh, you are going to fall away now, you are going to drop now. The mere fact that you're on a roller coaster ought to alert you to the fact that it's not exactly going to be a smooth ride.
As audience members, it's our responsibility to sort of know what our limits are, and to also know that when you walk into a theater, when you walk into a comedy show, you want to be pressed and to possibly think about something in a new way, and to be like stretched and a little irritated and maybe agitated and maybe uncomfortable, because that's how we grow and that's how we like expand our perspective.
Yeah.
So to like want to know everything, the structure and the content and everything before you go in, well, where's the like what's the point of the theater? Just read a blog post at that point.
Does that mean that it's okay, it's acceptable if an audience member comes in thinking the show is one thing, and at the point at which they think it's not for me, that it's okay for them to go out?
Absolutely.
And not
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we're not, you don't want anyone to be in your show that is like internally agitated and like having PTSD because of your content. It's also not your fault, but take responsibility for your own body and walk out if you need to. I don't think that's offensive.
I would say, I mean, a comedy show at the Fringe lasts 50-55 minutes. They are cheap generally, sometimes free or free entry. I don't mind if someone is not happy and leaves. Sometimes I'm surprised if they leave and complain and have time to write how they are traumatized, because really, I'm kind of envious, because it's what traumatizes you. It's like half an hour of bad jokes. You have been living a great life, because I wish I had the same life, because I wonder when they go and see theater, if, I don't know, the Scottish play, I will not mention, someone kills the king. Oh my God, they're killing the king. Is anybody working out? Oh, this is too much. That wife is really evil. She killed the king. No, they just.
And that's the least. One of the least of Shakespeare's plays is Titus Andronicus. People eating their children in a pie. There's all,
Yeah, you don't read these people kill the king, they shouldn't be allowed. Now someone might have the idea to kill the queen. No, it's not just they know it's theater. When there's comedy, somehow they feel like if you are stabbing them through the art. And it's weird. I don't have many of these reactions because I'm nice, but even me being nice.
Oh, but how many years ago Luca did? It was an extraordinary show, which a true story of a visit to Amsterdam, and I mean, even those of us who know Luca quite well, what was the experience?
Yeah, I visited the red light district, and I was telling a story about a sex worker who happened to be more male than female, and someone left because he was shocked to say, "Oh, this is very bad." Although he was gay and Catholic, so I could see the conflict, and I would say this is kind of problem you might have. And his partner was gay, not Catholic, stayed through the show, and then he wrote to me and it was okay. So it's very subjective. And
but I mean, this was a situation where Luca basically had sex because he was too polite not to.
Oh yeah, I felt obliged to. I had an issue in saying no, but I'm.
Now you see, feminists would go to town on that. Issues with saying no.
Yeah, but I don't feel any. I found out I'm maybe gently dark. Yesterday I was at Hayden Live, and it seems that the comedians had more fun than the audience in a way, which is not always good, but because we were happy to say something dark, but the audience sometimes froze a little bit. I had a bit about. There was mum as a suggestion, and I had a bit about my dead mother, and I was so happy to use it, but I was the only one happy to use it. So they were, "Oh, you should." I say, "It's my mom. No worries. It's dead. She's dead now," and nobody really appreciated it.
It's what you said. People understand when they come in what they're going to get, and it's why. Everybody has to go and see Alun's show because it's an extraordinary. There are two comics that I've seen this year that you just go, whoa, what the fuck? One is Alun, who, as I say, I've always loved for his ruminations on strange words and odd observations, and you go in this year. And it's incredibly funny and beautifully constructed, but it is very full on what the fuck are we doing with all this PC shit? The other one is, I don't know if you've seen Jade Adams, who I saw last night.
No, I haven't seen that.
Whoa!
I think
Oh my god! She's ditched the glitz, the glamour, the songs, everything.
Right.
And she is a ferocious feminist stand-up.
Oh, really?
It's amazing. It is amazing. But it's a thrill for someone like me to go and see that. It's a rush.
Uh-huh.
But are you not terrified? I'm looking at Alun now. That people are going to come in for ruminations on the word maroon and be absolutely shocked to their very core.
Well, I would be if the show wasn't full of jokes. Like, it's full of jokes.
It is full of jokes.
If they like jokes, it should be okay. If they came in wanting sentences about words or, whimsical descriptions of pizza toppings, then they probably will be a bit startled. But it's interesting that you twice mentioned that the audience member has a responsibility to interpret the show. But I think quite a lot of this year's show for me is about how we're maybe abdicating too much of our personal responsibility. People are too easily handing over whether or not they're happy or they're offended or they... Like, I know that all these internet provocateurs talk about how we've actually got agency over our lives, and everyone goes, how dare they say that? That's so terrible. But there's a bit of me that feels like we do have some agency over some of the things that happen to us and how we interpret them. And it's not like I've invented that. The Stoics were writing about it 2,000 years ago, so I don't feel like it's that remarkable, to be absolutely honest. I just think maybe some of it is through parenthood, of saying to the kids, like, you can choose to not be as mad about this if you want to, and you can have an effect on the people around you. Like, I quite often tell my kids, if you don't like your friends, don't spend time with those friends. That's really powerful.
Right.
And some people seem to think that everything that happens to them in their lives is forever, and that just isn't true, I don't think. So maybe that is a bit radical if they are coming along expecting pizza topping jokes, but it doesn't feel that big a shift for me. But what does feel a big shift is it the Overton window that they talk about, that has moved so far to people having no real responsibility for themselves that I mean, maybe I've just ended up seeming quite remarkable. I think I'm a centrist dad doing jokes about how the world has gone a bit silly, but apparently it sounds really radical.
I think it's wonderfully radical, but it's there's a real herd mentality, I think, and no matter how much you want to be or you feel yourself outside the herd, I think if you're doing, especially if you're doing a show, you have to kind of think, I'd really like to say, or I want to do a show about this, but is that going to be okay?
I don't take a lot of time thinking about what is or isn't going to be offensive or okay. I think that I'm not particularly interested in the offense thing. It's more of like introspection, self-reflection. And as long as those feelings and whatever's coming out of that self-reflection is honest, then the things that I'm addressing, I think, can't be offensive. I think that they are coming from a place of honest,
a true place,
want for growth, as opposed to, I mean, we can be honest and offensive for sure, but that also isn't about you trying to be better. That's about you just wanting to hurt. Yeah. And if as long as it's coming from a place of like, oh, I'm thinking about myself in an honest way, then it can hurt.
You know that way that experienced comedians are able to play with the amount of applause that they get, you know, and build and build and build. Do you feel that you're able to play with the level of attendance, that you take them somewhere and then you bring them back, so that you're able to push and pull that, so that you can tease someone to a place by the end of the show that at the beginning they never thought they would get to?
Yeah, I mean, I think like anything, you have to, it's a dance. Yeah. Everything can't be a dip. You have to move across the floor a little bit. So it is something that you have to like sort of like play with. But that's our job. We're manipulators. We are people trying to convince someone to laugh when their body hasn't yet decided they want it to. So we have to do that dance.
And then here in Edinburgh, I don't know, pretty much, well, mainly in Edinburgh, it all kind of becomes quantifiable in stars. You know, you're this funny, you're that funny, and that is it should be, I think, a very personal thing for the reviewer, and it's a right thing that it's a very personal thing for the reviewer. And I did, first time in my life, and I am really more ashamed than I'm comfortable with. But and it was Darius that pointed it out. I went to see his show, and I really didn't like it. I really found it unbelievably irritating, mind-boggling irritating. For a whole load of reasons which I'm not going to go into here, but I was the only person in the room that wasn't laughing. The place was rocking. But I have always been of the opinion, tough titty, I'm the reviewer, and as long as I say the place was rocking, then it has to be my opinion. And I did a really fucking pathetic, cowardly thing that looking back, I just can't believe that I did. I went to see Josie Long, and it was okay. It was fine. It was fine. If you're into childbirth, it was great. It wasn't that funny. It wasn't terrible. She's a very accomplished performer, and it was fine. But the place was going. It was like being part of a cult. And I was reviewing for Edfest magazine, and I gave her 4 stars. And I gave her 4 stars because I thought it's fine, but everyone else thinks it's amazing, and the readers of Edfest magazine will probably think she's amazing. So I better give her 4 stars. That is the worst thing I have done ever as a reviewer. And it was because Darius was having a bit of a hissy fit about.
What did you get?
2. Wow, hold on a second.
Oh.
Let me just dispute this. So here's my review on their website, right? On the Scotsman.
They've changed it.
They haven't. This is live. This is. Oh, you can't see it now. It says 1, whatever, 1 or 2. 2-star review suggests to me that comedian doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
You're so tediously bored. This is shittest of the shit, right? Luca, you've seen my show.
Yeah.
It's a good show, right?
I saw the preview in Brighton and it was working very well.
Okay. The problem was you found it irritating, but you left 5 minutes before the end.
I left when you said it was the end.
No, it wasn't the end.
Well, that's not my fault if you say it's the end.
I didn't.
You've got a false ending.
Yeah, but as a reviewer, you should stay till the end credits are done and the lights are up. If you go to a Marvel movie and you don't finish till the end credits, you've not. If you watched The Usual Suspects, Kate, and you went and watched that film and you left 5 minutes before the end, that is the shittest film. That last 5 minutes makes the show. All that you found irritating would have fixed all of that, but it's irrelevant.
Well, no, it's not irrelevant.
Well, okay. Actually, it's very relevant. So I got a 2-star / 1-star review, and I'm very irritating. I do have a face you want to punch, so I get that, right? I'm not disputing that. But my problem is that in the review you went, "Oh, the room rocks."
I said the room rocks.
Okay, this is what. Okay, here's my thing, and I think this is a thing that a lot of performers have. Are you reviewing? Like, if I go to watch Justin Bieber, right? I like rock music.
Then you're mental.
Yeah, exactly. But I can tell if he's done a good show. As a comedian, I know when I'm shit. And I came off that stage that, wow, I've done a good show today. That should be a good review. The same day you gave me a 2-star review, I got a 4-star review. But then I read, and then I was like, okay, well, comedy's subjective, and it wasn't reflective of what happened in the room. People are going to think I'm really shit, or whatever. But then I read the Josie Long review, and it basically read more or less very similar to my review. It's rocking with laughter, and you said mine, I'm a highly successful finale, powerful performer, and then you ended with I'm not a fan, and you ended hers with it's not for me. And I was like, well, why she get a 4-star and I get a 2-star? And that's where I was angry. But comedy's subjective, and I think as comedians, what we want to know is, are you reviewing the show you see? Like, because Leo got a review, got a 3-star review, and in the review, the guy's like, this is probably the most funny show you'll see on the Fringe. Leo's like a young Billy Connolly. This is amazing, but I don't agree with what he's saying. It's a 3 stars. And Leo's like, judge me on my comedy, not on my politics. And I'm the same. I was like, judge me on the show you saw, because anyone now who's thinking of coming to my show to 2 stars, I'm going to be interminably bored. And it wasn't.
I totally did judge you on what I saw.
Okay.
The one that I didn't judge on what I saw was Josie. That I am ashamed and embarrassed.
Yeah.
No, I thought, I don't know what the fuck I thought it was for a magazine where everyone would love her and everyone in the room was loving her, and somehow for the first time in my career I just go, look, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I know exactly I know exactly what I thought about your show and your performance. I find it really irritating. I am not, I just think anyone that spends that much time talking about catfishing, it's like, I am so over people turning themselves into a girl on a Facebook app. The whole fake news thing I found irritating, and even if there had been some incredible coup de théâtre at the end.
There was an incredible coup de théâtre. It's the best thing in the world.
This is all fake. I just gone, and now I'm even more irritated because I have wasted an hour of my life watching a guy who thinks he's smarter than God catfishing.
But I don't think the reviewer's job. Audience members want to know. This is what audience want to know.
Okay.
Is it funny? Is the show good? Will the audience laughing? Will I enjoy this show? And I think that's what you want from a reviewer.
Okay, now let's hear from some other performers. What do you think the reviewer's job is?
I think that this is a great reminder that, like, the whole point, like, we read certain reviewers because of their opinion,
Because you've had 5-star reviews.
I have, yeah. I've had a couple of them so far, and then I also got a 3-star review right on the back of 2 5-star reviews. So, but I think that, like, I'm constantly reminding myself as well that, like, well, that's how reviews are. It is subjective, and I looked at, like, the background of the reviewer that gave me 3 stars, and he's given out all 2 stars for the entire Fringe, and the only thing he's given 4 stars to ever in the history of his thing is an electronic music show that had nothing to do with theater. So I was like, but as a responsible audience member, when I'm going to reviewers to find out what do I want to see, what am I interested in, I look at what the reviewer's history of reviewing is.
In which case, if there's a problem with the reviewer, that's the responsibility of the editor who's commissioning that.
Right. And then, you talk to your publicist and you deal with it on your end, and you don't paste the stars up on your shit and whatever. Like,
Alan, have you had ups and downs? I mean, I don't remember ever reading a terrible review of your shows. Ever.
I don't read my reviews anymore, so I
Did you used to?
Yeah. But
Did you used to get upset?
A bit, and also I just found that it distorted how I did the show. So there was one year where I had a bit about, I can't even remember what the bit was about, but I had some jokes that were on the way to the jokes, and everybody talked about the jokes that were on the way to the jokes, and they kept calling it the, whatever it was. Like, I thought it was the kitchen bit and they thought it was the gas ring bit, let's say. And they kept writing it up as the gas ring bit, and I was like, no, the main point of that story is the kitchen thing. Like, and then I started thinking that I was doing it differently because it had been mentioned in all the reviews, and then I thought maybe it's better off to just not know this and go out to, like, virgin snow. But the tax that I pay on that is soul-crushing paranoia. The fact that I think, there are reviews out there that I haven't read and that everyone's reading about my show, and maybe they're all hating it, especially this year, when there's just no talk of it, and then you start seeing everybody else's posters getting pasted up stars, and you think, oh my god, I'm just getting 1s and everyone's saying that I'm horrible. But I still think, I spend quite a lot of my time trying to only worry about what I can affect, and I can't affect what people write about my show. I can affect how good I think my show is, so I do that.
Langston, it's like what Langston is talking about, that, like, if your work is coming from an authentic place, your focus should be continuing to build your show every night and growing as a performer and an artist, because we have this wonderful opportunity to do it night after night.
Yeah.
And in which case, you get too fixated on the reviews, and all of a sudden you're not working anymore. You know.
Langston, you've had great reviews.
I've had some good, some okay. I don't take the reviews very seriously. I think it's an absurd concept in and of itself for people who are seeing an individual show over the course of a 30-day, 26 days, 6 days, to be able to put a stamp on what it is. And I do think that it should largely be measured by the quality of the art more than the reviewer's opinion of the art.
So who says what the quality of the art is?
Well, obviously the reviewer does, but personally, I don't even think the job should exist. So it's sort of a thing where it's like, well, what are we talking about? What we're talking about is a thing that I spent months, years, whatever it is, crafting, and then an individual saying, well, this art upsets me because of specific things that I believe in the world, not because of the shape of it, not necessarily because of the experience of it, even in your sort of like reflection of what he did. And I haven't seen your show, I didn't read the review, I have no idea, but you're talking about things that you felt in listening to it. You weren't saying whether or not the effectiveness of that art is taking place, which to me is mostly measured by whether or not he killed that man. If he killed, he killed.
He pretty much killed.
Yeah, so to me,
He pretty much killed. When Luca, how many years have you come to the Fringe? Like 3?
No, this is my 6th time.
6?
Yeah.
Wow. When Luca came to the Fringe, at first he came as an absolute virgin, and he didn't know. Obviously he's a Catholic. He probably was an absolute virgin. But comedy-wise, he didn't know that it was okay to do the same show day after day after day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was doing different material day after day after day.
Failing day after day after day.
So what were your feelings about the possibility of reviews?
I think that especially if you are not so known, reviews are useful. I understand the idea that if you kill a night, the reviews should be positive, but I happen to sometimes play to a very quiet room with maybe 2 people, and in that case I really prefer the reviewer to have an opinion, because if they have to judge from the empty seats or the no laughter, because maybe in a room where there are only 2 people, maybe they are 60 years old, it's hard to kill, and you don't want to kill a 60 years old, because you hope that the reviewer can see the potential of the show. So it's true what you say, but also sometimes, especially in the Fringe, you might see very good shows that are under the radar and there's no one there. And I hope the reviewer, once I played for Steven, if I remember, and it was just you and... Yeah, so imagine if he was a reviewer, he would say, nobody's laughing because he was the only one. And the seats were silent. But I hope you enjoy what could have been a show. Also, a comedy show is not supposed to be played in front of empty seats. But at the Fringe, it might happen. Sometimes you're a very quiet night, half empty.
What happens when you've got a very small audience? And in that instance, if we were on the bus, it was on the blunderbuss.
Yeah, we were on the bus.
If there was a whole load of people there, then when you've got a group of people sniggering, and a snigger can turn into a laugh because everyone else is laughing. But if I'm watching you and I'm doing the first week, then I was thinking, that's quite clever, I see what you did there, in other circumstances that would be funny, but it's just me, so I'll raise an eyebrow. So I wasn't laughing.
I was killing it softly. And I hope a reviewer can see the potential to kill it softly.
Yeah.
Killing me softly with the world.
That's the one. Alan, you don't have tiny audiences now, do you?
Yeah, they go. I mean, I feel like comedians at any level end up with smaller and bigger. It's a variety. Certainly in previews, you turn up and so yeah, it's a mixture.
Does it make a difference to you?
Well, this is the first show that I've done where I've felt a distinct feeling that it's doing better on weekends in front of like people that are out and kind of, because I think truthfully the festival.
Up for it.
Yeah, and I think the truth of the matter is that the festival is a bit of an elitist bubble and is a bit, I suppose. I mean, I consider myself to be centrist, but I suppose there is a kind of a left-wing bias, and if you are being contrarian midweek in the quieter rooms, that can seem more mean, whereas I think there's a natural boisterousness on the Friday and Saturdays that I've been really enjoying this year. Not that my show's especially boisterous, but if you're standing there doing jokes about not wanting to be told what to think, I think weekend crowds can buy into that quite quickly.
Because there's normal people in weekend.
Yeah, and because they're pissed, and pissed people don't like being told what to think. I think, as none of us should, I would argue, but yeah, so I've enjoyed it on the weekends a lot this year. And in other years, I've found, when I'm doing more gentle stuff, I would enjoy one of Friday or Saturday, but not always both. So that's
talked
changed.
about being maybe deflected from your performance by reading reviews in the past. Do you go and see other shows, and can that deflect you from your performance because you see other shows? And of everyone around here, how many other shows have you been to see?
Well, I can answer quickly.
Hard questions, Stephen, hard questions.
I've been a bit better at going to see other shows this year, but it won't be until the last week that I can see something that's very close before mine. It's always like in the morning or the afternoon, then my show's at 9:20, so it'll be a while before I see something at 8.
Do comics go and see other comics a lot? And if you do you just go and see other people that are like you? Or do you deliberately go out and go, I really disagree with this person, I should go and watch an hour?
I just try and watch people who I think will know to be funny. So I saw Matt Ewins, and he's great. I don't think we're similar to, I've seen Leo obviously. I was watching Joby McGee tonight. He was good. It was great. I had to leave early because I had another show, but he was great so far. I watch. The thing is, I go into if someone says they're funny and they recommend it, I go in with an open mind, and I actually, this is where we differ. If they're killing it, I acknowledge they're killing it. I'm like,
I acknowledged you were killing it.
Yeah,
think he's
you
forgiven
kind of
that.
took it away in the second paragraph. It went, it rocked, and then. But anyway, but I'm not. I don't.
You guys are so needy.
We are, but that is true. That is true. But the point is, I think comedians, at least my friends and I, when we go to a comedy club, we're not watching to see if they're being clever or it's like, are they killing it? Are the audience reacting? And that's what we judge it on. So if I go see Alan and he's being contrarian but he's killing it, I'm gonna say, man, he killed it, and that's what I review shows on, is like how much, because I feed off the audience. Obviously sometimes they're not gonna do it and you can see it's good, but basically you can tell when someone's like, yeah, that's a great show, I think. But maybe that's like the pop music of comedy or something.
Is this your first Edinburgh?
It is, yeah.
How are you finding it?
Telling jokes for an hour every night is great. All the sort of culture around it is pretty toxic and unhealthy. I just think there's something very complicated about adding a star system to an arts festival of 3,000 different kinds of shows. Like literally half of the jobs are going to see someone like finger a trombone and then going and watching comedy, and that distorts your perception of all things that you're absorbing. It makes it so that jokes may or may not sit the way that you expected them to. So it's a complicated dance. So I'm having a great time telling jokes, and I think some of the other things around it are a little frustrating.
Okay. Your first time as well?
This is my first time, yeah. First time at the Fringe, yes. I am enjoying it. I think that for me, I'm always looking for I'm like in the circumstances where I can see virtuosity across the board in these different fields. So I can see great theater, great concert pianists at cathedrals. I can see good art. I can see comedians and dance, and so it's very exciting for me, the potential of virtuosic intake. I think that it's like such a saturated festival now. There's so much shit here. You can see some of the worst shit you've ever seen and some of the best shit. I think that's exciting. It makes it tough as a performer because you're playing for small crowds as a like no name, new name. And like even coming out of the gate and like hitting 2 5-star reviews really hard and having a top venue and a top publicist.
You must be selling out.
Oh, and the venue right away was like, what? We thought you'd be selling out by now, for sure. And I tell you, I'm playing for 2 to 6 people every night, and it's a fucking rock show.
So you see, Darius,
it's like
stars don't make any difference.
Yeah, give me 4 then.
No, but I mean, like, but I think that the thing for me that's like fueling me is that like I get to do this every night, and it's like this incredible opportunity to do it 26 times in a row. And holy shit, I'm learning so much, and the show's growing, and my band's getting so tight, and and I get to take in other people's work that are doing the same thing every night, and it's very exciting. Yeah, sure, compare me to the Beatles, whatever.
She'll take that.
Except I think they got paid, but...
How many years have you been coming to Edinburgh?
I did my first solo show in 2004, so yeah, so it's a chunk.
What, 15 years?
I've had a few off though in that time for family reasons and holidays.
Better or
and stuff
worse
like
now?
I think this is probably my final Fringe, but that's for all the reasons that we've already outlined earlier. I don't know, it's certainly my final one for a while. The last 3, including this, I've been saying this is my final Fringe for ages. I'm going to be a better dad in the summer and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, so you'll be back.
Yeah, I might be back next year. No, but I'm certain I won't. But I have said it for 3 years in a row.
Is that why you're partly pushing the boat out and being more contrarian?
Oh, maybe, but I don't think so. I think maybe it's the final roll of the dice of like, But I should really have thought about it because I've got no fallback plan. So, but yeah, I think it does cast a big shadow over people's years. Like, I feel like if I commit to Edinburgh, I basically spend January to July on creative output, trying to generate a show, and then I put it on in August, and then it either tours in the winter or the spring the next year. So it does cast quite a big shadow over your life if you try to assemble a thing. So having some off and lying fallow is probably a good idea, or doing other creative projects.
Can you imagine being here in 15 years, Luca?
I wish. I feel a bit addicted to Edinburgh because the Fringe is the place where people like me can have the more stage time, because in London it's hard to get more than 5 minutes on stage once a week, and you need to start with an old joke, close with an old joke, put 1 minute new that will not work because it's just 1 minute. It's harder. So I learn every year. That's the thing. So I know I should be better by the end of the month. But people should see me now before I get better. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, quickly, because he might not be back. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
The end of the world is nigh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Darius, you are a comic
Yeah.
with shitloads of stuff to say.
Yes.
And so I was hoping to see an hour of you saying shitloads of stuff. But instead, you've obviously spent months turning yourself into a woman with a Facebook app and going catfishing.
Well, I mean, that's one point one bit. Okay, so there's 3 segments on that. I think I also didn't. You don't like fake news. You don't think it's relevant.
That's not true.
Okay, well, just a second ago you said it was irritating to you. And you
Irritating, yes.
Okay, but maybe it's irritating to you. But I think it's a very important point right now in the time that we're in. And the whole point about it wasn't so much me catfishing, it was about how people can just crumble you by making allegations and accusing you of being racist and then your career's down the tube with one accusation. Then you can fall in love with someone online that don't even exist. And then finally, I wanted to demonstrate in the show, look, you can't trust the media. Don't think you can trust the media to tell you the truth. Look how easily I just went on the TV and just told a lie and they lost £2 million. And then from that, I end with a famous Malcolm X quote, which I think is important for this time, which is be careful. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are doing the oppressing and loving the people who are being oppressed. Because right now we live in divided and distracted times. And that's what my show's about, really. And it's not like it's a coup de theatre, and I get it, maybe you found it irritating, whatever. But
I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying the points weren't valid.
No, but with all respect, you're long in the game. You've seen this all before. But a 20-year-old is naive and hasn't seen anything and doesn't know anything. And they need to have their mind open. Like, hey, you might know all about JFK. Like just this week, my show's even more important. Jeffrey Epstein's committed suicide, and the media, suicide. The cameras broke, and most people go along blindly when, yeah, that's true. And for you, that's like, oh, I know Darius is talking, this is so old news to me. But for someone of my generation, this isn't old, we don't know this stuff. And I'm just trying to say, hey, look, open your eyes because this is happening. So I can see exactly where you're coming from, and I get it, and that's fine. But I know for people relevant to my age group, my demographic, they're coming up to me afterwards, holy shit, I didn't know it was that easy. I didn't know this was happening. So,
okay, fair dues. So, do you think, she said, hoping for the answer no, that there is an argument for saying, look, you really shouldn't be going and reviewing these shows, you're too old?
Oh, well.
Feel free to be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, I think at the point that language and colloquialisms and a lot of things have evolved beyond something you're willing to grow in, like if you are not tapped into culture, who are you to review culture? And so we, at a certain age, are not even speaking an exact language anymore. We're speaking dialects to each other that kind of translate. And so it doesn't make sense to be critiquing it. It only makes sense to either learn it or let it be.
I'm going to be contrarian with you in your camp. Not necessarily say one way or the other, but I think that different reviewers are going to play different roles. And I think that every reviewer cannot be responsible for every demographic. So papers are responsible for the reviewers that they bring on to review shows, and reviewers are responsible for holding their standards, which you didn't do in your Josie review. But like, yeah, there should be people that have your standards seeing shows and reviewing them for the papers that want your reviews, and there should be people from the young demographic, and there should be people, like, I want people seeing my show that have intense literary backgrounds because I'm a poet and because my show is a literary work. And I want people coming and seeing the show that fucking love punk metal because it's punk metal and everything in between. I want people that grew up in gospel churches because that's my background, you know, of music, and that is leading into it. But the dude that is from punk metal world is not going to review my show the same way that the literary background person is, and we have to accept that. Like, we need different reviewers for different demographics and different papers for different reasons.
I would say there's no such thing as a definitive review.
Yeah,
absolutely. So there would be value, for example, if Copstick was reviewing a show, and along with Copstick was someone who's at the festival for the first time.
Yeah.
Who would be blown away
or
by
a fucking 20-year-old. Yeah, we need that. We need that.
By way of contrast, but with every reviewer, if I was a performer, then I'd want to know, so what's your background, what's your bona fides? what makes you a person in a position to judge?
What are your standards of judgment? And I think that's some of the things that we're missing when we get the stars. We just see the stars, and we forget that like this all comes with all sorts of conditions.
Yeah. I mean, there's almost no reviewer that I know likes the star system. Nobody likes the star system apart from PRs and promoters. They're the only people, and quite a lot of comics, because it's easy. It's easy. I've always wanted to write like the go 5 stars, and then the actual review reads, "This is a pile of shit."
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do that for me. Why didn't you do that for me, Kate? That's all I wanted. I'd have been delighted. You know, this is dog shit. 5 stars. I mean, thank you, Kate.
And Langston is totally.
Yeah, because I'm not feeling it, Darius. I'm not feeling it.
No, he was like, hit me with me going, yeah, 5 stars, he killed it. He'd be like, yeah, I won it. That's all we want.
No, I think the stars shouldn't exist. But if you're gonna give them, just give it to them.
Yeah, give it to me, man.
Weaponize it. Just give them the stars.
But the point is, the whole point of this is like, you need, I do agree, you know, you asked me, is it I'm too old? It's not you're too old, but you need to put yourself in the perspective, like, so, obviously you've lived through Israel and Palestine, that's an old thing for you, it's been going your whole life, right? But I know for a fact that 20-year-olds now, they don't know what the right side of history is on that. And if you go into that thinking, I already know this is old to new to me, then you're doing a disservice to a cause that people are trying to spread kind of like a message about, make people think a little bit more about. So that was my point in it. But I wouldn't say you're too old, but I think you need to maybe go in there with an open mind. Like, am I reviewing this from my perspective or from this perspective? Because what's old to you, like now I look at stuff like my niece looks at, and she's like 13 years old, and I've got no clue what's going on, and I used to think I was young and cool, and now I've got no clue, but I can see that they're all into it, so I need to kind of teach myself so I can talk with her on her level. So she's all into Fortnite and that stuff, and if you don't kind of be aware, then eventually you're out of it. And like we're all old now because we're probably all on Facebook, and Facebook's dead. It's Snapchat now, and I'm not on Snapchat, so you know it evolves, and you've got to keep up with it, or you're gone.
Yeah, you're dead.
So you'd be happy with a 4-star, but it reads like a 2.
Yeah, I'll be delighted with that.
But this is true. But since also different reviewers appeal to different demographic, maybe like if I do a show that might not be suitable for people of certain age or demographic, if someone from that group doesn't like my show, it kinda helped me to not having that kind of audience in my show. It goes both ways, because let's say that you're doing a show that is not good for teenagers, and a teenager reviewers or specialized in teenage magazine doesn't like your show, that will put off that kind of audience who maybe wouldn't enjoy your show anyway.
Here's the thing. My audience will read Kate Copstick's review.
Will they?
Will see 2 stars. They won't bother reading it rocked with laughter and that was a great performance. They'll see 2 stars. They won't go to my show.
But are you sure that audience will read her review?
It's not your problem, but it's my problem. It's my problem.
That's not my fault that you're
that's true.
don't read your review.
But that's true. But that is.
Are you sure that their audience will read The Scotsman? I'm not sure that teenage young people.
I don't know. I think it does make a big difference. And I think you should review the show you saw. Did it kill? And then caveat it. It's not for me. I thought it was rubbish. But if you're a fan of it, you're gonna love it. That's what I think. And that's what you did with Josie.
Loving your use of the word caveat there. Well, I wasn't expecting that from you. Right, so.
I'm a very intelligent man.
Yeah, he is. No slouch. So, from the left, if you just want to. Oh, hello. Hilarity down at the bottom right-hand side of the table there. You want to tell us what your show is, where it's on, and if you feel like telling listeners how many stars you've already got for that show, feel free. If not, then don't.
My name is Langston Kerman. I'll be at the Jersey Room in the Underbelly at 7:45 every day. And I don't want to talk about stars.
Yeah.
My name is Darius Davies. I'm doing Persian of Interest 220 at the Tron. I do want to talk about stars. I've had 5 reviews for this show, 4 4-star reviews, 1 2-star review. You come, you decide what the show is. Thank you very much. I prefer stars.
Next, Taigé Loren. I've got a rock theater show at the Gilded Balloon Rose Theater, 10:15 every night.
You've had 2 5-star
I've had
reviews.
2 5-star. Kate will shout it out for me. So.
Luca Cupani, 355, Just the Tonic at the Maschhaus, Lives I Never Lived. I got 1 4-star and 1 3-star review.
But the 4-star was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was written better. It was a more rounded. Yeah.
My show is Brave New Alun by Alun Cochrane. It's at 9:20 at the Pleasance Cabaret Bar. And I don't keep up with my reviews because I don't think they're for us.
Okay, you heard it here first. He has 4 stars from the Scotsman.